Two issues could become a focus of negotiations between 6 lawmakers tasked with finding a compromise on vote-by-mail legislation, application mailing methods, and limitations on changing polling locations. State House News reports that as a new House-Senate Conference Committee works out its meeting plans, advocates are pointing to the two variations between the House and Senate bills as essential components to a statewide voting-by-mail system. Common Cause, a nonpartisan grassroots organization that counts voting and election among its work, is among those who wants this issue wrapped up. I spoke with Pam Wilmot, Common Cause Massachusetts Executive Director, shortly after the Senate vote last week.
This is absolutely a critical move on the legislature's part. COVID-19 is not going away. We could be in the midst of a surge in the fall. We really don't know. What we do know is that many people are still going to need to socially distance, and the safest way to vote is to cast a mail ballot. So the legislation greatly expands the efficiency of that process and makes it easier for both voters and for election officials. This is a huge change. Massachusetts typically votes about 3 to 5% by mail, and that is going to go up between 50, 60, 70% this fall. And that's just, I can't emphasize enough how different that is for our election officials and how much work it is.
Yeah, because we've talked about this on our program before, that it is not as simple as opening the doors to the gymnasium or the town hall or wherever it is that people in Massachusetts are voting and saying, here you go, here's your pen. There's so much going on behind the scenes, and this is being done many times by town clerks and volunteers. There's a lot to be coordinated for sure.
Many of the clerks that are actually election officials, they're not, the actual elections are run by our local officials. They're not run by the Secretary of State, who can set regulations and general parameters, although the legislature does that, of course. But many of these people are part-time. They have other duties, and it's a huge undertaking. I think about a town that is going to have 20, 40,000 mail ballots. And it's not just the ballot. Right now, our process is you have to request one of those. So this legislation will actually send an application to every registered voter in July. It's still to be determined whether you can request both ballots at that time or just one. We're pushing for both. We think it's important to give people the chance to make this process efficient and to request both at the same time. But then they have to process that. If the paper comes back to them, they have to fill out and hand enter that information. They got to send the ballot back out. Then the ballot comes in. It has to be stored. It has to be processed. It's very time and labor intensive. We don't have a lot of efficiencies in our system. It's very, very antiquated in some ways. So hopefully some of the changes that are part of this legislation, including the online portal where you can request a ballot online. We do not have that. 17 other states, actually is it 22? Anyway, quite a few other states have it. Many other states are building them for this fall to make that process more efficient, because then our local officials won't have to actually process the paper.
And when you say both, you're referring to the fact that there's a September primary and we have the November election. That's what both is referring to.
That's correct. Yes, we have 2 elections. The September primary is typically a very small turnout election because it's only our state legislators and Congress that's up. It's not a governor or statewide office, or the presidential primary, of course, is in the spring. But it's an important election nonetheless. And then we have, of course, the general election, which is the high turnout election. We have 75% approximately of our voters that will want to cast a ballot then.
Yeah, and it's especially important here in Western Massachusetts because there are a number of seats both at the state level, the federal level, that there are challengers that will be decided there in September.
That's right.
And so when Common Cause began talking about this or looking at this issue for the Senate, you were among about 79 or 80 organizations that supported some specific amendments, and we talked about one, but in terms of requesting that online ballot, you would hope that the Secretary of State would be in charge of having this online portal there so people could request those ballots. How did the Senate take that issue up?
We did have an amendment that was filed by Senator Lesser to have, basically there are some fudge words that were in both versions that we wanted them to remove so that there was a date certain by which this portal had to be created. We would have loved that date certain to be sooner. It is actually October 1st. I think the Secretary can do it a lot faster than that. Idaho made a similar portal within 3 weeks. It's a very simple matter. We have other online portals to register to vote here in Massachusetts, or to find out where your polling place is, or to confirm whether you're an active or an inactive voter. It's just a very similar process. So we're hoping he can get it done sooner than October 1st, but it's better to have that date certain. We also wanted to just streamline how that would be done to clarify that it's the same as those other portals that already exist in Massachusetts, so that it's a straightforward programming process.
And we talked about the deadline for requesting those absentee ballots already, which was something else obviously you're advocating for. And a big change also would be that the ballots being mailed in would be counted not only before the November election day, but on that day as well. And that would be a big change. Why were you in favor of that?
Yeah, so basically it would change from having your ballots in order to count to be received on election day to having the allowance for them to be mailed on election day and then received up to the Friday after. So the reason for, and that's just for the general election, it is only for this year. And the reason for that is that, again, our systems are moving from about one, but in terms of requesting that online ballot, you would hope that the Secretary of State would be in charge of having this online portal there so people could request those ballots. How did the Senate take that issue up? We did have an amendment that was filed by Senator Lesser to have, basically there are some fudge words that were in both versions that we wanted them to remove so that there was a date certain by which this portal had to be created. We would have loved that date certain to be sooner. It is actually October 1st. I think the Secretary can do it a lot faster than that. Idaho made a similar portal within 3 weeks. It's a very simple matter. We have other online portals to register to vote here in Massachusetts, or to find out where your polling place is, or to confirm whether you're an active or an inactive voter. It's just a very similar process. So we're hoping he can get it done sooner than October 1st, but it's better to have that date certain. We also wanted to just streamline how that would be done to clarify that it's the same as those other portals that already exist in Massachusetts, so that it's a straightforward programming process.
And we talked about the deadline for requesting those absentee ballots already, which was something else obviously you're advocating for. And a big change also would be that the ballots being mailed in would be counted not only before the November election day, but on that day as well. And that would be a big change. Why were you in favor of that?
Yeah, so basically it would change from having your ballots in order to count to be received on election day to having the allowance for them to be mailed on election day and then received up to the Friday after. So the reason for, and that's just for the general election, it is only for this year. And the reason for that is that, again, our systems are moving from very little vote by mail to a huge amount of vote by mail. Our election officials may not get out those requests for a ballot and actually deliver and send those out in a timely manner. The post office isn't working very quickly. And we want to give everyone the opportunity to vote. 17 other states, including about one, but in terms of requesting that online ballot, you would hope that the Secretary of State would be in charge of
having this online portal there so people could request those ballots. How did the Senate take that issue up?
We did have an amendment that was filed by Senator Lesser to have, basically there are some fudge words that were in both versions that we wanted them to remove so that there was a date certain by which this portal had to be created. We would have loved that date certain to be sooner. It is actually October 1st. I think the secretary can do it a lot faster than that. Idaho made a similar portal within 3 weeks. It's a very simple matter. We have other online portals to register to vote here in Massachusetts, or to find out where your polling place is, or to confirm whether you're an active or an inactive voter. It's just a very similar process. So we're hoping he can get it done sooner than October 1st, but it's better to have that date certain. We also wanted to just streamline how that would be done to clarify that it's the same as those other portals that already exist in Massachusetts, so that it's a straightforward programming process.
And we talked about the deadline for requesting those absentee ballots already, which was something else obviously you're advocating for. And a big change also would be that the ballots being mailed in would be counted not only before the November election day, but on that day as well. And that would be a big change. Why were you in favor of that?
Yeah, so basically it would change from having your ballots in order to count to be received on election day to having the allowance for them to be mailed on election day and then received up to the Friday after. So the reason for, and that's just for the general election, it is only for this year. And the reason for that is that, again, our systems are moving from very little vote by mail to a huge amount of vote by mail. Our election officials may not get out those requests for a ballot and actually deliver and send those out in a timely manner. The post office isn't working very quickly. And we want to give everyone the opportunity to vote. 17 other states, including ours, then finally passed, but that's a normal part of the process. You hear everyone, and sometimes what you want is just a bridge too far. So I'm very happy with the bill. Our coalition is very happy with the bill, and we want to get it done and sign into law.